Ciao and welcome back to Pasta Amore, Pasta with Love. I'm Chef Joe Mele, and on today's edition we're not going to be messing with doughs and flours and lots of preparation beforehand. We're going to put that kind of pasta end of the Pasta Amore aside, and we're going to focus on grains. Specifically today we're going to talk about risotto. So risotto is by far one of the most technically challenging preparations. A lot of home cooks, a lot of people are intimidated by the process of risotto, and because it is so specific in its technique that you can easily mess it up. Okay, this is why a lot of times if you watch cooking shows and competitions, people freak out when they say, oh no, they're going to make risotto. Well, it's because it's, first of all, time sensitive. It takes minimum 20 minutes, minimum, to get a perfect risotto. Okay? Sometimes longer. Also, you can't multitask when you're doing risotto. You need to stay in front of the stove. It needs constant attention. It's not something like you can make a pilaf or simmered rice, put it on the stove, forget about it. Okay? This is why it's technically difficult. The other thing is to get that perfect combination between a little al dente yet really creamy. Okay? So there's a lot to explain about risotto, so I'm not going to do it up front, because during the process, let's face it, there's not a lot going on here other than the rice simmering. So it's kind of like watching grass grow. So in between the time that it's simmering and doing its thing, that's when I'm going to take the time to explain to you about the ingredients, the method, the history, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so where do we start? Here's where we start. You must take good, flavorful chicken stock for a risotto Milanese. Okay. To that chicken stock, you want to have it hot first of all. You want nice warm chicken stock. Okay. And in order to flavor it, to get the desired risotto Milanese, okay, what's indicative of risotto Milanese? It's bright yellow, vibrant color, it's fragrant aroma, right? Brought only, and only this ingredient will give you that, and that is saffron. Okay? We're talking about here the world's most expensive spice. Probably about $90 an ounce, I'm guessing. Okay? So, again, I need to have hot stock, and I'm going to take and I'm going to infuse my saffron in the stock. That's about a teaspoon, maybe. So, we're going to infuse that. Now, what is saffron? It comes from the crocus plant. Okay? Now you think about, every crocus plant has about 4 flowers. Within those 4 flowers, they have the stigma, or the threads that grow inside the flower. So each flower has about 3 of those. So you can understand now why, when we talk about threads, we're talking about really tiny little threads, 3 of them to a plant. So to harvest a pound of these, how many flowers do you think they'd have to collect in order to get a pound of these little babies? All right, so therefore, very expensive, very labor intensive, but nothing, absolutely nothing comes close to substituting for saffron. Some people try by the use of turmeric. All they're getting out of the turmeric is the color of the saffron. They're not getting the flavor. Nothing can reproduce that flavor. Okay, so saffron is in, all right, we're steeped in our stock, that's warming up. So, next thing, let's talk about the process, okay? So, you say, why do I have a skillet here instead of a saucepan? Since I'm making a rice dish, a lot of times if we do pilaf or we cook rice, it's in a sauce pot. Risotto's different. I need surface area, okay? So, I'm going to put my olive oil in enough to coat the bottom. Okay? Heat up my pan. And now when we add our aromatics. Today we're only using onion. You can use shallots, you can use garlic, scallions, whatever aromatics you want to start with. But for basic risotto, in this case risotto Milanese, we call it Milanese because it comes from Milano. All right, so heat that pan up a little bit. Then we're going to add our finely diced onions, okay, small dice probably. All right, we're going to put those in. That's about a 1/4 cup of onion, okay. So our ratios today, we are going to only make 1 measured cup of rice. So we got enough olive oil to coat the pan, probably about a 1/4 cup. 1/4 cup of onion, small dice, okay. Let that get translucent. We don't want any color here. All right, let's keep them light. Let's talk rice, because that's the next step here. Risotto rice is a very short, fat, starchy grain, much like sushi rice. This isn't your Uncle Ben's long grain. You cannot use Uncle Ben's to make risotto. Now, forever and ever, the American market is such that everybody and their brother thinks risotto is made with arborio rice. And it is, because that's the most widely accepted used rice in this country. However, not in Italy. In Italy, they use a very high-level rice. Arborio is just mundane, lower-class rice in Italy. What I'm talking about here is carnaroli. Carnaroli is the accepted rice to make risotto in Italy, or there's another one called bialone, right? But carnaroli is like the Cadillac of risotto rice. All right, so our onions are translucent. We have 1 cup of this beautiful carnaroli rice. Okay. Now, this is an important step. We call this toasting the rice. Now, when I say toasting, doesn't mean I'm making rice-a-roni here. I'm not browning this, okay? Toasting it means sauteing it with your aromatics in the fat. And at this process, this is what's going to let the rice kernels open up and release their starch and accept the liquid, okay? Now, could you do it without? Yeah, you probably could. But again, we're looking at trying to get the optimal texture, flavor from our risotto. So what are we looking for in a perfectly finished risotto? Turn this heat down a little bit. We are looking for a very creamy consistency of the rice, almost like there was cream in there. And we're also looking for these kernels to remain a little bit al dente. So we want individual grains with a little bit of chew, but we want that sauce, that accompanying starchiness to be creamy. Okay? So we toast the rice. Okay? Our onions are in there. We're toasting it, starting to release. Okay, so before it takes on any color at all, okay, we just get it toasted. That's just about a minute or 2. Okay, to this, we're going to add about 2 ounces of white wine. Okay? Again, don't cook with something you wouldn't drink. Right? So Pinot Grigio would be nice. Sauvignon Blanc. Nice white wine. Okay? This is the first of our liquids that are added. So we cook this until all that wine has been reduced. Okay? So, as is the stages that we add our liquid, the liquid always has to be reduced before we add the next stage of liquid. So right now I'm getting that aroma. You can see it release the steam. It's starting to a little bit release the starch in the rice. So I hear that crackling. That means already my wine has reduced. So now I'm going to add, look at that color of that saffron already. Beautiful. Let's talk about that. Okay? People automatically think every risotto has saffron because the most famous Risotto Milanese has saffron. However, if you do a seafood risotto, you do a mushroom risotto, you do a pumpkin or a butternut squash risotto, the saffron doesn't go. Okay? It's not across the board that every rice gets saffron. This is one of the particular rices, particular dishes that gets saffron. So you can see those threads in there, you can see that golden color. So now, you can't go anywhere. So this is it, we're locked in, folks. It's you and me, okay? But you have to stir, because if you don't, what's gonna happen? This could stick to the bottom, okay, then we have a mess. So, again, this is why I like a skillet. Way more surface area here than if I tried to cook it in a pot. More surface area means more even cooking of the rice, quicker cooking of the rice, right? You want all of that exposed as possible. All right, so you can still see there's lots of liquid in there, and I'm already seeing the liquid that came from that stock is taking on a little bit of starchy look to it. Okay, it's starting to release from the rice kernels. Okay, so a couple of things about risotto. Don't ever worry about making too much risotto, okay? Because we have a number of things we can do with leftover risotto. You probably already are familiar with one of them. If you are Southern Italian by descent, you may be familiar with arancini, which are little rice balls that are deep fried, and you open it up in the middle and it has some meats and cheeses and vegetables inside, okay? And that is a staple of Southern Italy, Sicily, etc. The reason why it's called arancini, the word arancini means little orange in Italy. So you make the risotto balls in the shape of a little orange. Now, however, if you're in Rome, that same rice ball is about the size of a golf ball. It's served as an appetizer at a cocktail party, and that's called supplì al telefono alla romana. Supplì is the same thing. It's basically leftover risotto. It's become firm. We take a big piece of mozzarella, put it inside of the rice ball, roll it into a golf ball size, bread it, deep fry it, and then when you go to pull it apart, the reason why they call al telefono is it resembles the old telephone wires they used to stretch out. Italians, go figure. All right, so look, we're getting thick again. All right, time to add more liquid. And I don't worry about the ratios. Most rices are about 2 to 1. Okay, so I had a cup of rice. So I should have 2 cups of liquid. Now, this isn't an exact science. That's why I say have more than you need. Okay? You never know. Almost every given time I make risotto, I probably never use the same amount of stock. It's close, but you know, the rice I use, the humidity, the cooking method, quick, short, if I tend to it or not, and if it's served immediately. Here's the clue. So I always have more stock than you need. Not going to go to waste. So now I got that's 4 ladles full. That's about 12 ounces of liquid so far in there. Okay. Now, what you want to do during the process is you want to taste. Now I'm going to add a little pinch of salt here. Okay. And not much. You know why? Because in the end, when we're all done, we're going to fold in Parmigiano. Okay? The saltiness of the cheese, if you use Romano, even more saltier. Whatever cheese you fold in at the end is going to add salt content. So if you over-season your rice in the beginning, or your stock's too salty, etc., whatever, you could run the risk of having a very salty risotto. Okay. So, we're doing nicely. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit more. Now, we're talking about now, when Italians cook risotto, they want to see, they say like waves on the ocean. You see this going back and forth here? It's like the appearance of what waves do when they crash to shore, back and forth, rocking, and that's what you always want to see. You always want to see them, the waves. Okay, shake your pan a little bit and you'll see your waves. If you don't, right, you probably need more stock. All right, so that's doing just what we want it to do. And I taste it along the way. I need to know where I am, obviously for flavor, but I need to feel the crunchiness of the rice in my teeth. Okay, and I can sometimes look at these kernels. Depending on how they've swollen, I can tell if they're even close to being done or no. You know, you're going to need another 10 minutes or so of cooking. Okay. Now the true test of risotto, one of the true tests besides flavor, is that when you plate it, risotto should flow onto the plate. If you take a spoon and you dip in your risotto and you got to go like that to get it off, your risotto is way overcooked, too mushy, too much stock, etc., etc., etc. It must flow onto the plate. All right, and never ever, when you serve risotto, if you're having a dinner party and you want to make risotto and impress people, have everything else done totally. Keeping warm, hot somewhere. People are seated at the table, right? Everything else is out there. Okay, what you want to do is take your rice from your pan to your plate and service. I know in the restaurant business, we would never serve a risotto unless the waiter was standing on the other side of the line with his hand out ready to take that plate. Because if it gets to the table and it's solidified, it's not going to be a good thing. All right, so look, our rice is getting thick again. Right? You can see the creaminess now. That's only from the starch. I know a lot of people, professional people I might say, that have cheated and used some heavy cream in here to give us, there is no cream in risotto, people, okay? You get that effect from the creaminess of the starchiness of the rice, okay? All right, so we added more liquid. All right, so let's go back to that dinner party, all right? Let's say I really need to pre-prep this because I got a lot of work to do. So what we do in the restaurant business, do you think we make this from scratch every time an order comes in? If you're doing 300 dinners a night, you're not about to make risotto from scratch standing there in front of the stove. You got a million other things going on. So what we do in the restaurant business is get it to about this stage right here, lay it out on a pan, cool it immediately. It's about half cooked right now, okay? Put it away. Later on during the night we get an order for risotto. We take out one portion of that, put it in the pan, get our stock, right, and finish the risotto. We don't have time to go 20 minutes standing in front of a pan in order to get risotto. So we have to take a shortcut. And in this case, the shortcut works, okay? So if you want to pre-prep, right, get your risotto half cooked, stretch it out in a flat pan, cool it down immediately, right? And then when you're about 10 minutes from service, put it back in the pan, get some more stock, have your butter and your Parmesan ready to finish, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go in again and taste because it looks like about that time to taste. Still a little crunchy on the rice, okay? And I can see that. Also, the whiter the rice remains, the more it tells me it's still pretty raw. So again, I probably already used my 2-to-1, okay? So for you, those of you that are starting out, it is recommended that you use the carnaroli because it's a little more forgiving than the arborio. They don't tell you this, Bo, the carnaroli is a couple dollars more than your arborio rice. Probably that's why it's not, you know, found, you know, across the board. It's not that common. However, if you have a good Italian importing store in your area, right, and luckily for us I do, go there. You won't find this in your basic supermarket. carnaroli. You will find arborio all day long, right? But try the carnaroli, and I think you'll be glad you did. All right, so another use for leftover risotto. Next day you got a bunch, it's cold, it's stiff as a board. Take out a portion of your rice, flatten it with your hand like a pancake. Take a skillet, really hot, maybe spray it, non-stick skillet the best. Put that risotto face down in the pan, nice and thin, 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 over medium-high heat. You cook that till it crisps, and you flip it, okay? And you have basically a risotto pancake, right? That's called risotto salto, S-A-L-T-O. And that's another, you could take that, maybe if you had some sausage and peppers, and you wanted to put a base underneath. Maybe you make that crispy risotto cake, and you put it underneath, and you serve some kind of a stew, some kind of meat dish or seafood dish on top of that crispy rice cake. Okay, so another use, right? All right, so again, you look at, it's getting thick, right? I gotta go back. This is a feel thing, right? This is not a definitive, yes, this, and this, 2 to 1, blah, 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 thank you very much, I'm done. No, this is touch and go, okay? Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous color. We're getting that creaminess now. Now, after I tasted it, I said it could use a little more salt, but again, I'm gonna wait. After I add my cheese, I'll go in again and taste it and see if I need a little more salt. But I'm gonna reserve that for the moment, okay? Let's talk about how we're gonna garnish our risotto. Okay, so I always say, don't garnish with anything that isn't in the dish, right? In this case, cheese is an integral part of this dish, right? It's finished with freshly grated Parmigiano, Romano, Asiago, etc. All right, so what I do is we make a frico. For those of you who don't know what a frico is, it's taking your shredded Parmigiano or Romano cheese, okay? And we're going to show you. We're going to make one while the rice is cooking. Okay, I got a non-stick skillet, okay? I'm going to take a handful, small handful of my shredded, the shredded works best, and I'm going to layer it just in a circle, nice and flat. So you don't want it too thick, okay? Now, just going to let the heat that up. So what's going to happen is, you know, a lot of times if you cook something with cheese and it bubbles over and it burns to the bottom of the pan, everybody wants those little crunchies at the bottom of the pan because that tastes really good, let's face it. So we're going to, on purpose, make that, okay? And we're going to turn this into one of these right here. It's a disc of basically fried cheese, okay? So what I would do after that is I would take this, it should have a little crunch to it, which it does, right? And you can cut them into shapes, right? So we can take and garnish our finished risotto with a little piece of frico, all right? And it's so delicious. All right, so I still got that waves on the ocean thing going on here, right? Looking good. Ooh, if you could only smell that. All right, I need a little more heat now. So I hear my frico, it's crackling, okay, but it's so white yet, all right? I want to keep forming it into a nice disc. Push all that together, because what's happening is it's melting all together as one unit. And I want to see if I can loosen it from the bottom of the pan. So if I'm not able to loosen it from the bottom of the pan, it should be shaking right now. It's not ready to flip. Okay? All right. So now we're kicking the heat up here a little bit. So today we took a little break. We don't have any flour on our hands. There's nothing messy. Okay, we're just cooking. We're just cooking. All right, almost. See if I can loosen. It's starting to become loose. Now, you're going to see the texture change too at the end when we add our whole butter and our grated cheese. All right, so let's see. So now we just flip that, all right? Beautiful golden brown. We're going to cook the other side, okay? And when it's warm, you can take this out of here and it's still moldable. You can mold it, you can put it at the bottom of a cup and make a little Parmesan cup out of it, and you could serve a Caesar salad, a little Caesar salad in one of these cups. You can roll it around and make a like a tuile, like a cigar out of it, whatever you want to do, right? Or cut it into random pieces and use it as a garnish. All right, so my liquid is disappearing. I'm going to add some more. Now I'm getting that. Now we're almost there, folks. Okay, I want to cook that. You can also, if you don't want to stand there in front of a skillet with these guys, take a baking sheet, piece of parchment, okay? Spread these little circles, maybe 6 of them on a sheet pan and parchment, put it in the oven, and you can bake them until they get like this. You don't have to, you know, constantly play with it, right? Either way, it still works. All right, so like I said, now I can mold this into something, okay? If I wanted to take this, put it over a cup like that, and let it cool, then I would have a little cup. All right, so you can look at this now. I'm going to go back in because I think our rice is just about cooked. Wow. This is gorgeous. You can see it or not, but the rice is starting to swell. I have that creamy, flowable texture, okay? Here's the crucial thing we're going to do now. I'm shutting off the heat, right? Because I got my basic risotto where I want it. Okay, now we're going to do what we call in Italian mantecare. Okay, mantecare usually means a folding in. So, what are we folding in? I'm going to take some fresh whole butter, right? Nothing nutritional about this dish, guys. I'm going to take our grated Parmigiano. Now, mantecare. Okay, blend. If you don't take this off the heat, here's what can happen. It's so hot that your butter will break and it will appear to be greasy. Look at that creaminess. That's what we're attempting to get. Okay, even got more creamy. So think about temperature sensitive at this point. Look at that. That is just gorgeous. Temperature sensitive again. If this allows to cool, butter will harden, cheese will harden, you will have a gluey, sticky mess. All right, we're just about service. Just about service time. I gotta have my plate. Okay, it should flow onto the plate. Look at it flow. Okay. Bellissima. Take a piece of our frico. Right in the center. We could put a couple of them if we wanted to. Okay, but now I'm gonna go. You wouldn't believe how the butter and the cheese just totally changed that. I don't need salt now. I have enough salt from that cheese. Okay, This carnaroli rice is the bomb. I'm getting the wine, I'm getting the chicken stock, the saffron, oh my God. And the texture is just absolutely gorgeous. So, if your risotto does not look like this, okay, then I suggest that maybe we go back in and work on our technique a little bit, okay? But it's been fun today, it's been tasty, it's been wonderful, and I'll see you again next time. Ciao, ciao for now.